When we first saw Rusty, he didn't bark, he didn't move, he didn't even look up. While the other dogs reacted to every sound in the shelter, Rusty just stayed curled up in the back corner of his kennel like he had already given up. People walked past him all day. Some stopped for a second. Most didn't stop at all. He was older, quiet, thin, tired, and in a place full of younger, louder, more energetic dogs, he was almost invisible. But over the next few days, something happened that nobody expected. And it started with the smallest sign that maybe Rusty wasn't ready to give up just yet. Rusty had the kind of face that made you stop once you really looked at him. His muzzle had gone white with age. His eyes looked heavy, like he had seen too much and trusted too little. He never rushed the kennel door. He never begged for attention. He never made a sound. He just watched. Or sometimes he didn't even do that. He would turn his head toward the wall and stay there, like the world outside his kennel had nothing left for him. The shelter staff said he was gentle, never aggressive, never difficult, just shut down. And somehow that almost felt worse, because a loud dog tells you what he needs. A silent dog makes you wonder how long he's been carrying it all alone. On the first day, we tried the simple things: a soft voice, slow movements, fresh water, food placed near him, then a little closer, then just inside his reach. Rusty noticed everything, but he didn't come forward. He kept his body tucked tight, as if even the smallest movement might cost him too much. So we waited, and when nothing happened, we waited some more. That first day, the biggest victory wasn't a tail wag or a step forward. It was that Rusty finally lifted his eyes for 1 second and looked directly at us. Just once. Then he looked away again. It sounds tiny, maybe even meaningless. But when a dog has closed himself off from the world, 1 second of eye contact can feel like a door opening a crack. By the second day, Rusty was still keeping his distance. He still didn't want to be touched. He still wouldn't come to the front of the kennel. And every time another dog barked nearby, his whole body seemed to shrink in on itself. But something was changing. He was watching more. He followed movement with his eyes. He listened when someone spoke gently. He even leaned forward slightly when food was placed down. Not enough for most people to notice, but enough for hope. That's the thing about broken trust. It doesn't come back all at once. It comes back in pieces. A glance, a breath, a pause. A moment where fear and curiosity meet each other in the middle. Then, on the third day, it happened. Rusty stood up, not for long, not dramatically. He just slowly lifted himself from the floor and took one hesitant step forward. Then another. His body was still low. His tail stayed down. He was still unsure. But he moved. And for the first time, it felt like Rusty wasn't just surviving the shelter. He was starting to consider the possibility that maybe he was safe. That one short walk across the kennel felt bigger than it should have. Because when a dog has spent enough time disappointed, scared, or forgotten, choosing to move toward you is not a small thing. It is courage. But healing almost never moves in a straight line. The next day, Rusty pulled back again. He stayed in the corner longer. He avoided the front of the kennel. He barely looked up. And for a moment, it felt like all that progress had disappeared. That's the hard part with animals like Rusty. You can't explain to them that you're trying to help. You can only show them, again and again, patiently, quietly, without asking for too much too soon. So that's what we did. No pressure, no rushing, no forcing affection he wasn't ready to give, just presence. Sometimes love starts there. Not in hugs, not in dramatic moments, just in staying. And then, later that same day, Rusty surprised everyone. A volunteer sat outside his kennel and simply talked to him for a while. No reaching, no sudden movement, just calm words, soft tone, steady presence. Rusty listened. Then he inched closer, slowly, carefully, until he was close enough to sniff the edge of an outstretched hand. It lasted maybe 2 seconds. But those 2 seconds meant everything. Because for the first time, Rusty chose contact. No one made him, no one cornered him, no one pushed him. He chose it. And right after that, something even smaller happened. His tail moved, just once. A tiny wag. The kind of wag most people would miss if they blinked. But in that moment, it felt enormous. Like the saddest room in the shelter had suddenly let in a little light. Not overnight, not perfectly, but steadily. He started standing when people approached, then waiting near the front, then eating more comfortably, then allowing gentle touch. And little by little, the dog who once looked like he had disappeared inside himself started showing the world who he really was. He was gentle, he was sweet, and under all that fear, he had never stopped wanting to be loved. He had just forgotten what it felt like to believe it was possible. Dogs like Rusty don't ask for much. They don't need perfect homes or grand promises. They just need someone patient enough to see past the silence. Someone willing to stop walking, someone willing to stay. Because sometimes the dogs everyone passes by are the ones with the most love left to give. And sometimes all it takes to change everything is one person who finally looks back. If Rusty's story touched you, stay with Echo Paw Tales for the next one, because the next story might be the one you never forget.